Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Let's go! Welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startup, where Niccolo and we discuss the latest news of the Italian startup ecosystem. Everything is based on the kind newsletter from Nick that is issued every week on Mondays, basically recapping everything that has been going on. Usually on Monday nights, that's where we do the commentary, and all the session will be available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and we're live on Twitter Spaces. So awesome!
Ciao Jack, ciao everybody.
Awesome. Let's jump in directly. Let's start with there are very few interesting deals. I think there is a few things that you guys have some insight in, so I will definitely push that part, but let's go in order. So start with Wetacoo, which is an integrated logistics solution, essentially helping people move by also providing space for deposit of any kind of let's say asset that you want to move, and definitely solving one of the biggest problems that ever existed in human existence. So that's an awesome idea, and they've been managing to raise actually quite a big round. Is 750k, led by Lazio Innova and LVenture. They've been partnering together. They've been working together for long. Lazio has been a very active region in the tech ecosystem in Italy.
Yep, indeed. So as we probably spoke about, it is one of the few regions where there is an active investment track related to startups in different stages. So they do direct investments, indirect investments, buy attractive funds, and they set up a lot of agreements with operators in Italy where they co-invest together with private investors. And LVenture is one of those private investors, actually operating out of Lazio. It's based in Lazio, so they are a natural partner to Lazio Innova.
Yeah, sounds like there is a triumvirate: Regione Lazio, Innova Venture, and Luis. So it's it's the startup triumvirate that you see like happening in many situations. Very interesting.
That is true. But you know that Luis runs, so LVenture runs the accelerator together with Luis and Labs, and then there is Lazio, and then the investor. Well, as you said.
Good stuff. As long as they push the ecosystem, we're happy. So good stuff. Fantastic. All right. Moving on to AR. Aryel, basically a startup experimenting on augmented reality for marketing campaign, also has received a very interesting round, 250k, essentially from a number of different investors. So I think let's talk about the product first, which is very interesting as it's really exploiting some of the future of how marketing is going to look like. So anything augmented reality, so that brand can actually build models, they can build product that they can showcase with augmented reality technology. So they're enabling these kind of activities so that brand can engage with their audience in a meaningful way. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, not much to add in there. So I would say not so much as a standard application, but as a quite clear application of AR. So aimed at brands, so specifically to them. So it might make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much I would go around with a smartphone trying to catch pictures of stuff to look at brands telling me something, but still, I'm pretty sure that they have the right angle to tackle that problem.
Yeah. Now, I like the application, especially for IKEA-like sort of models, like where you can actually test like carpets, furniture in your house, and that gives you like a very good idea. So that's pretty cool and awesome. I don't know if it's a mocha pot will be a good application, but definitely there are products that are working really, really well with it. So that's pretty cool. One thing that I noticed that I was not too much aware of is the SFP, so strumenti finanziari partecipativi, which it's a hybrid way to finance a startup, and with a little bit of research, apparently it's one of the novelty of one of the reform of diritto societario. And it's an interesting tool actually that is, I don't know if there is an equivalent in the US or UK or other ecosystems. So I don't know how much you're familiar with it. Seems like it's a blend of equity up to a certain level, but then it kind of harbor you from certain risk, some company risk. So I'm not sure how to see this entity.
Well, it is a real quasi-equity instrument.
Okay.
Because basically, you have to somehow issue these SFPs as a company, but they are not quite debt, so they're not bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Often they are associated to real equity.
Yeah.
Basically, as an investor, you subscribe to the SFP with the condition that they may become equity under certain events. In a sense, in Italy, it is a way to structure safes.
Mm-hmm.
As safes in Italy are not easy to set up because of a lot of reasons, you could create safes based on SFPs.
That's a great point. It's the tool that it basically is equivalent in a way to safe agreement. Equivalent is a big word maybe, but yeah, they have the intention to be something lean and quick so that people can actually invest in a safe, in a quick and how Very interesting.
Let's say quicker and leaner than straight equity.
How popular is it actually? Because for me, it's over a few years. It's been maybe the second time I've seen these things.
We've used them, not very often, because again, you have to set up some work to create an SFP. So for smaller amounts, doesn't make sense. But we made a few operations using SFPs, and they're handy when you need to issue something that's not straight equity, because it's something that gets a value in the future, and you want a little bit more of control with respect to straight, convertible. Awesome. Or you have external investors, and you shouldn't issue a convertible. So.
I see.
They have good use cases.
Very interesting. Very cool. All right, moving on. EduTech deal. Algor raised 180K from Club degli Investitori from Turin. I was mentioning to Nico that I was on the phone with the founder of Algor early today, and essentially they're trying to build AI solutions to create conceptual maps. So to basically get a text and breaking it apart into like a mapping, which apparently, and I think there is some science backing it up, is essential for learning for people affected by dyslexia. So by using this kind of tool can dramatically improve the learning curve for dyslexic people, which is an application that I never thought of, but it's very, very much like very strong for sure. Instead of just doing like a visually pleasing display of information.
No, that's interesting. An interesting, interesting idea.
Yep.
I didn't know that conceptual maps helped people with dyslexia or some kind of issue with, let's say, written text and written concepts.
So their angle is very cool because they would start really pushing it through institutions that are catering dyslexia, students affected by dyslexia, and use that as a tool, and then opening up for the general public in a more functional way. And I feel that what is very interesting is actually this, which is the automatic way of doing conceptual maps. So essentially you feed like a PDF of a book into the platform, and then they output the conceptual map of the concepts of the main structure of the book, which, I mean, imagine, Nico, when we were in university, you know, getting a PDF of a book, getting it exploded in the most relevant content and starting studying from there by modifying all the notes and everything. That's like quite an effective way to actually gain information and, well, in a way, rethinking how we learn and how we study, which hasn't really been disrupted. I mean, we read books, we highlight and we take notes and then we repeat.
Well, but thinking of it, if that's true, so basically they are building a system that is able to extract the key concepts from a longer text,
yes,
and then defining the hierarchy of this context. So that's
correct,
quite powerful.
Yeah, yeah. And
writing summaries requires a good understanding of the content.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just the structure.
What is interesting is that they're using libraries that have been developed for a long time in the English language. So they're adapting those kind of structures to the Italian language. And then they were saying that English is easier when it comes to summarizing and extracting information because of the grammatical structure is way, way simpler than Italian. And I guess other Romance languages like French and Spanish. So they work way better. So for Italian, it still takes a little more learning to actually get to a point where the text actually is well summarized and well extracted. So I think that it's a good project. They're really working hard to get it to a good point of summarization. It still will take some time, but it's cool. I feel I would use it. I don't know. I would use it for sure.
Yep.
So I get excited.
Time constraint.
Yes, exactly. Throw a PDF in it, get the best information visually explained, happy about it. Awesome. All right, let's talk about cash flow management, which we've been seeing in a few deals, actually, a few companies working on how to optimize, how to manage cash flow for companies, especially for Italian companies. As we were mentioning, the banking sector is a little bit on the backward side when it comes to, backward is to be really polite, but let's go with that. So a lot of companies are trying actually to solve that problem by trying to make a good seamless process to actually manage banking, manage payments, verification, etc., etc., etc. So it's a good angle for sure.
Yep, as you said, this is the second startup doing cash flow management sort of services, raising money in the last 2 weeks. Yep. So that's kind of interesting. And I'm always amused as there seems to be waves of type of startups. Once you see one raising money, usually there's another one or two in the process of. And the bigger the market, the more is common this type of event. And apparently cash flow management is a sizable market as there are different teams going after it. And in this case, the investors are LVenture again, and Fabrick.
Of course, one of our favorites. Exactly, one of our favorites of this podcast for sure. Bancasella, very much active and with their eyes open in terms of what is happening in the Italian fintech space. So through Fabrick, I mean, they are really a machine. It feels like they're really putting the right bets in the right spaces. So wow, fantastic, very very good operator for sure. Awesome. All right, moving on with Gellify. Also, Gellify has been very active in these past weeks. So invested in a spinoff from Politecnico di Milano in something more related to industrial IoT. So how exactly industrial solution can how actually an industry, a manufacturing company can actually be digitized. So this Mirai Tech 4.0 is working on in Industry 4.0, I guess. Hence the name. And Gellify also has been super active. Clearly Azimut is following up with them. Um, I can't quite understand if they have a specific vertical that they want to push strongly, or they really remain a little bit opportunistic. And I think the latter is the case, because looks like they've been like playing in different fields.
You mean Gellify?
Gellify, yes.
Well, they have this broad approach, whereas as long as you are a B2B startup, you are in the radar. Because basically what they do is invest in a company, and then in particular for smaller startups, seed stage or pre-seed stage, they have this process called Gellification, where they basically inject their own management skills into the startup and accelerate the way to market.
Awesome.
So they create management, they open the door to customers, they activate the sales process, they complete development. So they're quite not only active, they are a penetrating investor.
Interesting.
So it's not exactly a pure venture investor when you do this type of investments.
No, I like this kind of approach, to be honest. Is when they actually can integrate. I don't think it's easy. I don't know if there are already cases of massive success for this. I was just checking now their portfolio, like something that is really outstanding. But I believe it has really a reason to be, for sure.
I'm pretty sure that they had a few exits. So Techmas is one that I know quite well. And that was jellified. Not all their portfolio has been jellified. Yeah, well, later stage investments maybe are less jellified than earlier stage investments, but still. So they're quite a mixed approach to investments.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's talk about biotech. Also, biotech has been moving very much. Let's talk about Epsilen Bio, which was acquired by Chroma Medicine, which is essentially Chroma Medicine is a multinational company, that is working into the genome space and in the epigenetic editing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's not, as you know, my bread and butter, but still. So Epsilen Bio was a startup that raised funding from Sofinnova. From the Sofinnova fund that was raised with Itatech. So it's a technology transfer fund.
Yep.
And it happened probably in 2018, I believe, not much later than that. And the news is about the acquisition of Epsilen Bio by Chroma Medicine. And Chroma Medicine is another startup that just raised 125 million Series A round. So,
wow,
not too shabby.
No, not at all.
And I had to look it up what they were doing, epigenetic editing, because it was
same here.
Fantascientific. And actually, it's quite interesting because it's a way to act on DNA without modifying the DNA for good. So it's a temporary modification. Basically, it means activating or deactivating temporarily the possibility of the DNA to produce or not specific proteins. So you basically temporarily inhibit or stimulate the DNA to do certain things without touching it. So
absolutely.
Fascinating.
And I believe it became a little bit more popular a few months ago when we were talking about, when the news in general in the startup space, we're talking about CRISPR, which is pretty much one tool that they use for epigenetic medicine in general. So to act on the DNA through enzymatic processes and acting like very specifically on a certain gene activation or deactivation. So that's when I first personally saw the idea of epigenetic. And apparently what I was listening to some specialists, they were saying how this is becoming more and more accessible to scientists. So it doesn't require like an extremely equipped lab to actually do experiment on CRISPR. Apparently is pretty lean. I don't know if you can do it in in your backyard or anything like that? Or
I think yes. I think yes. So
I think yes too, right?
It's a basic. It's now a basic tool of a biohacker.
Yeah.
So I believe it doesn't cost too much, and you don't need, a huge laboratory or a team of scientists to get access to a CRISPR machine.
That's crazy.
But still,
no, super.
Not my area.
Absolutely, very interesting, super interesting. One of the biggest probably for the week. One of the biggest deal of the week. Right, now let's go to Primo field of view with Keyless acquired by Sift, and give us some meat, Nicola, some behind the scene information.
You know that I am under a huge NDA. So
Really?
I can probably tell you less than what you can read online. But basically, as the news says, Keyless is a UK and Italian startup that is developing a passwordless authentication platform based on biometrics in particular. They were doing quite well up until Sift noticed, and they found an agreement to not to merge, so to acquire Keyless and add the solution to their portfolio. Sift is not quite a small, sizable American company. They raised a good amount of money, probably $100 and something million from tier one investors, such as Unit Square, first round capital. So it's very, very interesting, very nice acquisition, at least for the Italian ecosystem. Things are moving.
Can we say something on how you guys got to Sift? How the Keyless team got to Sift? Can we explore that? Because I'm always curious how exactly those connections get made. So what is the path? I'm sure probably the guys at Keyless, they knew already, like people in Sift, because they are not direct competitors, but they work in the same industry. So probably that's the link. But it's
Well, to be honest, I don't know the initial connection, the specific initial connection. It was not us to tell once, so that I can say. But the company was exploring a way to grow, either by external funding or with strategic collaborations. The focus was on funding, but it happened that there was a lot of interest on the market. And then when you see a lot of interest, what you do is you check out what that interest means. And here we are with Sift, that's completely the information.
Fantastic.
It's quite a hot market right now. With authentication, with remote working, all the issues with security, hacking, and all the recent happenings around the world. So authentication, passwordless solutions, more secure way to handle the credentials. They're hot topics right now.
No, for sure. All right, Nico, I'm jumping ahead. If you want to go back, then feel free to do so. I'm just pointing out one of the latest elements of what is some big news for Italy, which is CDP is still rolling and giving the ecosystem more money in different forms and through the different funds. So the funded technology transfer is keeping growing, but especially to create a polo di innovazione, so like an innovation environment called an innovation hub called Tech4Planet, which essentially aims at investing at the companies and new funds that at their turn invest in sustainable business and sustainability in general. So that's a great news for the ecosystem for sure.
As you said, that's not a small commitment by CDP Venture Capital. So they're committing 55 million euros in a project that's aiming at raising up to 130 million euros in 4 years. it's basically an innovation center where there is research, where there is company creation, where there is tools and support for startups that want to grow and scale. The interesting thing here is the collaboration with three of the biggest, probably the three main polytechnics in Italy, Milan, Torino, and Bari, working together to bring technology, knowledge, people, and startups. So it's a very interesting project in a very hot vertical. So sustainable economy, clean tech, circular economy. It makes a lot of sense. So that's great awesome move by CDP. I love it. We'll see what comes out of it, but I'm very happy about this project. And this is the second technology center that they are launching. The first one was on robotics. With the based in Genova, the other one.
So this one, where is the physical location of this polo technological? Is it already been decided, or it's just announced and then they're trying to figure it out?
I'm not so sure. That probably there will be some kind of shared locations with the three polytechnics.
Makes sense.
From the other announcement I read from the Politecnico of Milan, it seems that that's the lead institution in the deal. So maybe there will be a Milan-centric headquarters, but apart from that, that's just speculation. I don't know much.
Makes sense. That's cool. Okay, let's talk about Oltre Impact really quick. Announcing Oltre 3 fund, which is an impact-oriented fund. LVenture has been basically one of the first actually in Italy doing verticalized investment related to impact and only impact. So that's pretty cool. They've been working for a few years now, and they've been always trying to focus on that specific vertical. So good job in raising like Fund 3 for sure.
Yep. Well, they are the impact investment fund in Italy. It was the real first one with a huge track record. So good for this new fund, which is considerably larger than the other two, I believe.
Yes.
And they are starting with 53 million under management with the target to raise up to 100 total. So quite a big one.
That's a huge deal for sure. Awesome.
Yep. And they also, if I may say, congratulations to the new junior partners that have been promoted with the new fund. Nicola Lambert and Raffaele Fedeli.
Nice.
Good luck.
Nice. That's cool. All right, last news. VC Hub is changing skin. Now it's called Italian Tech Alliance. And since you and Gianluca, you're involved in all this show, tell us something. What is the backstory? What's happening? I mean, why the decision to actually rebrand?
Well, it had been in the air for a while, because VC Hub is really just aimed at VCs, starting from the name venture capital. But that's not the idea of the association. That the association wants to be helpful for the entire ecosystem, so from startups to investors. And actually, a lot of the associates are startups, and there are quite a few of them also in the board of directors of the association. So they had been looking for a new name for a while, and finally they came up with Italian Tech Alliance and the new logo, the new brand. And it is more in line with the philosophy of the association.
Makes sense.
Focused on technology, on innovation, and on Italian ecosystem, and not just on the financial part of it. Broader view. So now we have a common voice talking to the government, to the ecosystem, to the environment outside.
Beautiful. Oh, that's cool. And are you going to be the official newsletter writer for these guys? Tell us, Nico.
Well, the VC Hub has been an official sponsor since the beginning of the newsletter, and Italian Tech Alliance will continue to be an official sponsor of the newsletter because we are really aligned in terms of goals to make more people aware about Italian innovation and to sustain and support the growth of the ecosystem. So.
Fantastic. Well, on this note, I don't think I can add anything else. So, Nico, thank you so much for joining. Great, very interesting content for sure. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Jack. It was a pleasure. See you next week.
Thanks.